Hello and welcome to Financial Advice in a Digital World, a series of interviews and a big debate looking at the issues surrounding automated advice. We're talking to advisor Peter Chadborn, the founder of Plan Money, to get his view of the issue. So, Peter, on most measures, it seems like there are good times for advisors at the moment. You know, we've had the pension freedoms and that's driven some business. We've got the model mostly sorted out after the RDR. Things seem to be in a very good place. But there's some experts will say, but these advisors, they better make sure they're investing in their businesses, because if they don't, they could be caught out by this robo-revolution. What's your view of that?
I think it's true that there is plenty of work for advisors that have got their model right. And generally we find ourselves in a good place for all the reasons that you've mentioned. But I think the revolution word is overused. I think it's more of an evolution of robo. I think it's been coming and will continue to grow. Advisors certainly shouldn't rest on their laurels and assume they're not going to be affected by it and don't need to change, but certainly more evolution rather than revolution.
So you don't fear for your own extinction?
No, our extinction has been predicted for many years now and it's yet to come to pass. Again, providing we are mindful about what the future holds and are adapting towards it.
Now, there's a lot of debate amongst advisors and providers and a lot of the consultancies as well in this area. What about the clients? What do clients think, or is it even on their radar? Would they know what you were talking about if you said, robo-advice, that sounds good, or I don't like that? Or would they just go, what on earth are you talking about?
It depends on the demographic, of course, because some of our clients will resist even online banking, and look how long we've had that. Yet others, going to the other extreme, may deselect an IFA firm because they're not offering the level of engagement, the online activity and engagement which they're looking for. So I think it depends on the demographic of the client and what they're used to in their personal world, what they want, therefore, in turn, from their advisor. And it's fair to say that the most clients of a traditional IFA are of the older generation or perhaps approaching retirement, and therefore are less concerned than younger potential clients. And therefore, perhaps that's why IFAs could be accused of being a little bit relaxed in this regard. Because
things have changed quite dramatically, I suppose. If we put ourselves back 10 years and think, and if we went back a little bit further than that even, if we're talking about the sort of support clients expect. Like at one stage, you know, it was there'd be a letter that would tell them where the funds were, where the performance was. Obviously now all that's online, so there is more online already. So is there still a barrier to overcome, but is it less of a barrier than it was because a lot more people are a lot more digital, even though they may not be aware of being so?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point what you mentioned about the letter, because some clients still would like to get a written report. And we can offer to email it to them, and some will still say, no, I prefer to get something through the post that I can look at. So there's an assumption that everyone is automatically online for everything. Well, they're not. But although I agree, to a certain extent, we are, whether we know it or not, whether it's online banking. But again, some clients will actually resist that. So I think you've got this paradox going between what those of us that are active in the digital world are expecting and experiencing and assuming our clients want, compared to a typical client of an IFA who isn't asking for this type of engagement yet.
And do you think they might? Do you think that could change? I suppose you can't predict the future, and habits change and norms.
In time. I think it depends on the demographic of client bank which the IFA or IFA firm is trying to attract. So a younger firm, the first thing to say is that most IFAs tend to have clients around about their age. There tends to be an alignment with thinking experiences and so on. So a younger IFA will be attracting clients who think and behave like they do. So they're going to be the ones that are going to be pushing for robo and saying, this is the future, how can we possibly work without that? This is what we must be doing. But the average age of the IFA, although it's come down a bit, is still mid-50s perhaps. Their clients are perhaps around that age, a little bit older, and they're not asking for robo. And they won't be wanting robo probably at all.
Okay, so a few years down the line, you would, don't let me put words in your mouth, but suggesting this is robo against real advisors, is that an oversimplification?
Yes, I would resist the temptation to say that robo isn't real, because it is advice. If it's engagement and people are getting guidance in their world, that's advice, and that's perhaps what they want. But the older someone is, the more complicated their affairs become financially as they approach things like retirement and look at things like inheritance tax planning. And I think that very much still will want face-to-face and need face-to-face advice because of the complexity. Okay. But if somebody's younger and starting out on their asset accumulation journey and they're putting a few quid into a pension, perhaps through auto-enrolment, then yeah, robo will suit them perfectly.
So in a few years' time, what's the landscape going to look like?
I think the landscape will be according to the demographic of the client within individual firms, let alone advisor to advisor. For example, our younger clients are going to want to be served possibly by younger advisors, and they're very much going to want robo engagement as part of the proposition. But older clients with older advisors, far less so.
Thank you, Peter, for talking about financial advice in a digital world.
You're welcome.